Alana returns to camp after Marvin was blindsided with an idol in his pocket. Sierra immediately finds Avery Lee and rants to her about how Nicola and Jonathan were liars to her and Marvin. She tells her that Jonathan's plan was to get the three of them and Marvin to vote out Antonio, but it's clear they did not stick to it. Avery Lee tells her she doesn't care about this because at the moment, she doesn't want her to go. She thinks Jonathan and Nicola are a threatening duo, so if they are split up, everyone else is good to go for the game onwards. Sierra says she sees Jonathan as more of a threat just based on his challenge wins recently. Nicola and Jonathan later chat as they need to figure out who they can trust going into this next vote. Jonathan feels good with Avery Lee because she has put in the most effort to try to work with them, and Nicola agrees. She lets Jonathan know she'll talk with her more, and hopefully get Bane or Antonio to side with them in the process. Nicola then chats with Avery Lee and asks her if she trusts her and Jonathan enough to vote with them. Avery Lee says she will always have her back like they agreed before, so she is willing to vote out someone other than them. Nicola asks her who she personally would like to see go, and Avery Lee says Antonio isn't such a bad option because his chances of winning are the highest out of anyone just based on the jury's perception of him. He's known as a good player that people continue to underestimate based on his age. Nicola feels good about this and hopes Bane or Sierra can be roped in as well to be part of this vote. Sierra chats with Antonio in the meantime as she tries to build trust with him again. She tells him she feels like Jonathan and Nicola need to be split up because they have been a tight duo ever since Merge started. Antonio agrees and says he has no reason to target anyone but those two. Sierra promises she'll keep this plan a secret from them so nothing wild happens. Jonathan, Avery Lee, and Bane chat about the next vote. Jonathan offers the two of them a deal to work with him and Nicola and reach Final Four together, meaning they would have to vote out Antonio and Sierra next. Avery Lee says she doesn't see an issue in that because it guarantees their safety for the next two votes. Bane tags along and says he feels the same way and wouldn't mind if Antonio went tomorrow. It's now day 26, and it's time for the immunity challenge. Jonathan hands over the necklace from his previous challenge win, and Justin explains the challenge. In this, each player must grill a potato to perfection. Once done, they must move on to the woodworking station and carve out a knife block. Once that is finished, they must light their fire pit to win immunity. The challenge begins, and Jonathan, Sierra, and Antonio finish cooking before the other three. Bane is right behind them as he tries to catch up. Avery Lee and Nicola eventually finish as well and catch up to the rest, so everyone is currently on the woodworking station. Jonathan has an early lead on his knife block, while Avery Lee struggles to carve hers, getting flashbacks to when she had to do this challenge back in the pre-merge stage of the game. Bane finishes his knife block and heads to his fire pit. He successfully lights his fire, meaning Bane wins individual immunity, safe from the vote tonight. Justin puts the necklace on him and reminds everyone that someone will be the 16th person voted out and the 6th member of the jury, and it won't be Bane. They all head back to camp. At Oolana Camp, Bane celebrates his immunity win on his own. He feels like he can truly control tonight's vote, so it goes however he wants since he's immune now. Sierra joins him and congratulates him. She says this is huge for them because Jonathan didn't win. Bane nods and says this is their chance to vote him out. Sierra is definitely on board and says they just need to make sure Avery Lee and Antonio stick to this plan. Antonio joins the two of them and all three confirm that Jonathan will need to go tonight. They also debate splitting the votes between him and Nicola, but they don't exactly know if they should take that risk. In the meantime, Jonathan, Nicola, and Avery Lee discuss the vote. Nicola says their plan to get Antonio out is in motion since Bane is on side now. Avery Lee asks if they should consider splitting between him and Sierra, but Jonathan is sure that won't be necessary since he doubts an idol will be played tonight. Avery Lee and Antonio then chat as Antonio wants to know if his name has been brought up. Avery Lee admits that Jonathan and Nicola want him gone. Antonio sighs and says he's once again on the chopping block. Avery Lee lets him know their plan is still in place to take out Jonathan, so Antonio thanks her for still trusting in him. Avery Lee asks him if Sierra is 100% on board to join them for this vote, and Antonio claims she is. Avery Lee tries to make it obvious to Antonio that she doesn't trust Sierra by reminding him Sierra was betrayed by them many times before, so nothing is stopping her from attempting to tie the vote. Antonio says she did seem happier when a split vote plan was offered, making him think she might try to flip the vote onto him. Nevertheless, it's now night 26, so it's time for tribal council. All 6 arrive and have a seat, noticing Marvin on the jury. Justin first congratulates Bane on his second individual immunity win, and Bane thanks him. He says it's coming down to the wire, so you cannot ever feel comfortable. Avery Lee agrees and mentions that people are thinking about Final 2. They all know that 4 more people will need to be cut before that point, so everyone is very cautious about who they can trust and who they cannot. Sierra laughs and says she totally agrees with that. She brings up that she was blindsided quite a lot because she trusted people too much. She feels like she needs to be upfront and claims she doesn't fully trust anyone here, but there are people she trusts more than others. She also knows that she's a solo player now, which opens the door for other people to scoop her in. If people are in a duo, that makes them dangerous going into this endgame portion. Nicola says that although she agrees, it's important to solidify plans going into Final 5, 4, and 3, so even if you work with another duo, it doesn't mean you are out of the game completely. If there was a trio, that's when things can get dicey. Sierra shrugs, and nobody has much else to say. Justin says it's time to vote, so they all prepare. Avery Lee doesn't get up to play her advantage despite it being the last time she could use it, so the idol blocker has expired. Let's see how tribal turns out now.
I'll tally the votes. If anyone has a hidden immunity idol and they want to play it, now would be the time to do so. Alright, I'll read the votes. First vote, Antonio. Antonio. That's 2 votes, Antonio. Jonathan. 2 votes, Antonio. 1 vote, Jonathan. Jonathan. We're tied. 2 votes, Antonio. 2 votes, Jonathan. Jonathan. 3 votes, Jonathan. 2 votes, Antonio. 1 vote left. Antonio. We have a tie. 3 votes, Jonathan. 3 votes, Antonio. We will now re-vote between Jonathan and Antonio. They will be the only 2 not voting. If we tie again, rocks will need to be drawn. It's time to vote. I'll tally the votes. I'll read the votes. First vote. Antonio. 1 vote Antonio. Zonathan. 1 vote Antonio, 1 vote Zonathan. Zonathan. That's 2 votes Zonathan, 1 vote Antonio, 1 vote left. Sixteenth person voted out of Survivor Japan and the 6th member of our jury, Zonathan.
Zonathan shakes his head in disappointment while Avery Lee tries to act natural. Nicola's head flops forward as she loses yet another ally. Zonathan places his torch and comments that snakes never win. Justin snuffs his torch and Zonathan leaves without a word. Sierra rolls her eyes in response to his comment. Justin then lets the other 5 know they can head back to camp, so they do. Zonathan's final thoughts. Being blindsided was not on Zonathan's wish list, especially being blindsided with an idol. He deeply regrets not playing it and he feels stupid for trusting Bane and Avery Lee. At this rate, he just needs to hope Nicola reaches Final 2 because she's the only person he would be willing to vote for as the winner. As for the rest, they are all going to need to work for his vote in the finale.